Hey guys, glad you're back with us for another one of our mini messages. And today we're staying in Genesis chapter 15, and we're just going to look at one verse today, verse 6. When you go back, Abraham has, in the first part of this chapter, he has asked God some kind of tough questions. God told him he would bless him. God told him he would do these things with him. But then he says, God, where's the child? This servant, Eliezer, he may be a good man, but he's who's going to inherit these things. And how can this promise come? And God took him outside and showed him the stars in the sky. And he said, this is how many descendants you're going to have. That's an amazing thing, because the lights from cities and cars and things and houses wouldn't have dimmed those lights from the light from the stars. He would have been able to see stars that most of us never see, because there was no light except for the stars and the moon themselves. So when he hears this promise, when God tells him this, listen to what he says in verse 6. He says, and Abram believed the Lord, and the Lord counted him as righteous because of his faith. So he believed in the Lord. So what God does here is he credits his belief as righteousness. He counted him as righteous because of his faith. Now, a couple of interesting things here that we see in this. This is an incredibly vivid picture of salvation. He had faith, and he was counted as righteous because of it. That's incredibly important. This is the first time that the word righteous or righteousness is even used in Scripture, and it's linked together with faith. It shows us that our salvation comes not by our works, but by our faith. It is something that God does, that we put our faith and our trust and our hope in. It's not something that we earn. There is like a righteousness that comes from our actions. We can take righteous actions, but perfect righteousness and that means being right with God. We think of somebody as being, he's righteous, as almost a bad thing in some of our public discourse. It's almost looked down upon, such as you think you're better than everybody else. That's not the righteousness that God gives us. We can't earn that. We're made right with God because of our faith in what He has already accomplished and done. See, this idea is restated multiple times in the New Testament. Over in Romans chapter 4, it talks about. Romans chapter 4, verses 9 and 10 makes a lot of the fact that His righteousness came before something that was very important. It came before the sign of the circumcision. Abraham isn't circumcised until Genesis chapter 17. So he was already counted as righteousness long before there was ever a sign of the covenant. He was made right with God at that point in his life. See, that's really important. That it's not an action that we can take. It's not a ritual that we can fulfill. It's what's in our heart. It's what's in our mind. It's our faith that brings us closer to God. So when you think about why you have a relationship with God, why you have a home in heaven, it's not your righteousness. It's God's righteousness given to you through faith. Be blessed. Stay safe. We'll see you again real soon.